provoking things. This girl, bro, she's insane, bro. I seen her when she didn't have this many subscribers, but she's insane. Insane as in God, insane as in she's got good content.
Welcome back to another video. So you might not remember, but a while back when I did my what determines our attractions video, I did make a little brief statement. I made a passing comment on there saying that maybe in the future I'll do a video discussing why I think there's been a massive rise in young people identifying as LGBT+. So I was gonna do a deep dive on it, but then I thought, let me just do a reaction, because then through that I can actually show you what I'm talking about. But before we get into that, I want to spread the word, okay? I've recently made a new discovery. I am someone who has really cold feet. This is not a sponsorship. I'm not leading into a sponsorship or anything like that. But I recently discovered sock slippers. I didn't know about these. I didn't know this was a thing, okay? I'm late to the party. Maybe people already knew about this. Maybe I'm 10 years late. I have no idea. I was just out and about running some errands and I discovered slipper socks. And my life has just been changed. I'm so happy. I can't express to you.
Yeah.
It's not my responsibility anymore. Okay? There are things out there to help us. To raise awareness to the cold feet community. You don't identifying as LGBT. So one of my theories as to why we've got a large number of young people in particular, it is a very specific generation who are now identifying a lot as LGBT. Now, some people have said this is obviously because society is a lot more open-minded now, society is a lot more tolerant, and so people feel more comfortable to identify as what they are, etc. And I do agree that there's truth to that, 100%. You know, back in the day when people were doing things like gay conversion therapies and people being potentially arrested or prosecuted for their sexuality, there definitely was a lot of incentives to not be open about it. And now that those things have been removed from Western cultures and Western societies, it has made it possible for people to be more open about these things. And so that definitely has been the case. However, the sudden spike that's been happening in the last few years is very unprecedented, and it doesn't really make sense because we've been tolerant of same-sex couples for a while now, and this sudden spike that's happening among
I feel like it's a mixture of we're tolerant of it, but the level in which it's being pushed, it's not even the tolerant level. It's it's now in everything. You can't go or anywhere without some sort of LGBT plus thing being pushed upon you. You can't walk around the shop without a rainbow flag, without seeing a rainbow flag. You can't be on the internet scrolling without seeing something to do with LGBT plus, whether it's a flag, whether it's awareness of this and that. You can't even be on YouTube scrolling and then it's always a topic of how they need to make this people aware, and then in schools as well, in universities, in primary school, in preschool too. It's being very, very, it's a big push.
Young people is kind of out of nowhere, and I think the reason for that, I'm going to show you with these videos, but one of the biggest reasons I think that's contributing to that, part of it is social contagion. I do think that people are seeing things on social media which is making them think that they are something else. So it's making
So all right, I was watching Jordan Peterson talk about it. It's people, when they're going through puberty, they have a spike in negativity, negative thinking about themselves, about who they are. There's this self-hatred, all that, right? They don't feel like they fit in anywhere and everything. So what the LGBT Q thing plus they do is they're accepting. They're oh, you feel like you're not fitting in the right body, it must mean that you're trans. So then they're you know what, maybe I am trans, maybe I don't belong in the biological body that I was born with, maybe I should convert, and what these kids are doing now, they're okay, maybe if I do that I'll be happier. And what's happening is these kids are doing it, but they're regretting it. They're I should have just waited. I should have listened to the people that were trying to tell me. It was just because I was going through puberty. I didn't like who I am, and now because of all these things that I've done, I'm unable to have children. Because I was seeing Jordan Peterson speaking to a trans, I guess somebody who was transitions into being a man, and they're reverting to being a woman, and they're seeing the what's it called, the outcome of those sort of actions, and they feel as though they were lied to. They were thinking, yo, I'm gonna be happy when I transition, I'm gonna find myself, this and that. And I think the LGBTQ plus is that you're giving people a place where they can feel whole, and it's basically a community. It's like everybody's always happier in numbers.
Making them think that they are part of the LGBT community, etc. Because what I'm noticing is that sexuality is becoming way more broad than it ever has been. So before, when people used to identify sexuality purely through the lens of biology, we only had 3 sexualities. You could only be straight, gay, or bisexual, because there's only male and female. So you could only be attracted to one, the other, or both. When we looked at sexualities through a biological lens, there was less options. Whereas now what I've noticed is that sexualities are no longer based on biology anymore. Sexualities are based on a ton of other things. And so I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, and then we'll dive into it a bit more.
Yes, I consider myself a sapiosexual. It means sexual attraction to intelligence. So the more intelligent a person is, the more I'm turned on. It's not gender-based, and it doesn't trump the fact that I'm gay. So it doesn't make me sapiosexual not gay. It makes me a gay sapiosexual. And I have been around many women where they're highly intelligent, and I'm turned on, and I'm thinking about what might be able to happen between me and that woman. I stutter because it's not really something, it's not my orientation, but it still is there. And this is also when we talk about fluidity and how people are able to get in bed with somebody of a different gender that they don't normally do, because they might be a sapiosexual, highly attracted, and around.
I just think there's too many like categories that, bro, to wrap my head around. But I'll learn, I guess.
Aroused and turned on by the intelligence, and from there they're able to do what they want to do in the bedroom with this person, and smarts is what turns them on.
He says within the video, it doesn't erase the fact that he's gay, but he is also sapiosexual and has an attraction to people who are intelligent. So it's really fascinating, because it seems like what's happened as well is that because we've changed how we define sexualities, it's also meant that some people have almost like dual sexualities. So they'll have
dual sexualities, dual nationalities, dual everything. Let's go.
They technically have more than one. But this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, is that sexuality, because we're no longer defining it through a biological lens anymore, we're defining it through social factors. The problem with that is that there are limitless social factors.
True.
So if we start defining sexualities through social factors, we will inevitably have endless amounts of sexualities, because before, his attraction would have just simply been understood as a gay man who finds intelligence very attractive. Just like you can be a straight person who finds people who are very athletic very attractive.
That's true. That's very true. But
you can find people who are very ambitious very attractive. You can find people who are very, kind and funny very attractive. It doesn't create a new sexuality, though.
One of the most controversial and misunderstood sexual orientations is demisexuality. So let's talk about what demisexuality is and why it's not just a preference. People who are demisexual only experience sexual attraction once they've formed a close bond to someone. Now, upon hearing this definition, a lot of people think, that's normal. So many people don't sleep with a person they've just met. Well, yes, but these people are completely misunderstanding what demisexual is. Sure, lots of people are going to want to be close with someone before they have sex with them, but they still experience sexual attraction. They are still attracted to that person and lots of other people, despite not having sex with them. Demisexuals do not experience this. They are completely asexual. They do not experience sexual attraction at all until they form a close bond with someone, and then they start to develop attraction for just that person. That's why asexuality is a spectrum and demisexuality is totally valid.
It's funny because demisexual is one that I'm familiar with. I learned this term years ago on a BuzzFeed video, and I actually had a conversation about this with a friend because they were trying to convince me that I'm a demisexual because I fit the description of a demisexual to a T. But my response was, no, that's just my personality. Because I personally think that demisexuality, I don't think that it's a coincidence either, that the vast majority of the people I've seen who say that they're demisexual are female. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Interesting.
When you understand female sexuality, it makes sense as to why the vast majority of people who identify as demisexuals are female. Demisexuality is the idea that you cannot be sexually aroused by someone who you don't have a connection with. Yeah.
Duh!
That's a lot of people, and it's normal. The thing is, I don't have an issue with people creating words to describe things. I actually don't mind these terms like sapiosexual, demisexual.
True.
But I do have issues with claiming that they're sexualities, and I will get to why I have an issue with it at the end of the video. I have nothing against people creating labels to describe things that they're feeling or describe the way that they are, but I do think that when it comes to sexuality, I do think it can cause problems, particularly for young people. But yeah, I think demisexuality is perfectly normal, very, very common among women, also common among men too, but it does seem, from what I've seen, it's predominantly women who identify as demisexual. And I think it just comes down to the fact that, yes, women do prefer to have emotional bonds with the people they're sleeping with. And that's perfectly normal. That is textbook female sexuality. That's typically...
I don't see anything wrong with what was said. I see everything when she said. She was right. 100%. Bro. I lie, bro. Low key, yeah. She looks like a wife, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. If I pictured like wifey material, like she fits the description to a T. It's weird. Does that mean I want to marry her? I don't know. Depends on her personality, but yeah, bro, she's got that wifey look, though.
So it's not out of the ordinary at all.
Growing up asexual means spending the first 15, 20 years of your life not realizing that when someone says someone is hot, they mean they're sexually attracted to them and not just aesthetic attraction. Because I'd be like, wow, that person's hot, and I really just meant, wow, my eyes, they make my brain happy to see them. I like how they're dressed, I like how their hair is. No, that's not what people mean. It means hot means you make you feel things or you're sexually attracted to them.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. Who lying to you? It just means... bro, it really doesn't mean that. I don't think... bro, it's just interesting thing, I mean, people can interpret it as that, but it just means they're good looking, that's it.
What?
Again, completely normal. Completely normal. It is... I call people hot, but I don't want to sleep with them. And it's kind of just like slang, isn't it? That's just how you talk. If you think someone's attractive, just like, oh, that person's really hot. That person's really hot. I don't want to sleep with any of these people. I just acknowledge the fact that they're beautiful people to look at. So far, I'm learning that I'm a sapiosexual because I am very attracted to intelligence. I'm also a demisexual because I don't personally like the idea of having intimate moments with someone outside of a committed relationship. And I'm also asexual because I can say that people are hot without it meaning I want to sleep with them. I'm collecting...
That's a fact! Bro, you know what? Listen, I don't even have to say anything. She's just saying everything. I agree 100%. I approve of this message. It's been 9 minutes in. I haven't said nothing that I disagree with. It's so weird.
Sexualities like Pokemon at this point because I can relate to all of these.
It's that time again. Let's build a house based off the omnisexual pride flag.
What
a lot of you
the
have been asking for this one, and I've actually been looking forward to talking about this one. Let's
What
get
the
into
hell is this?
Omnisexual, often confused with bi, is a sexuality which means that a person has attraction to all genders while still having a preference. This pretty much means that
Bro, this is complication for no reason, bro. This is complicated. What the hell? And you got a flag for it? For not everybody deserves representation, bro. This seems like a normal thing. Like, not everybody is the same. Everybody is an individual. You don't need to belong to a group to exist. That's what... You don't need to belong to a group.
Has attraction to all genders while still having a preference. This pretty much means that they like every gender identity, but have a preference on certain ones. In other words,
this sounds like a normal thing to me. This sounds like... Because I could be attracted to women, right? But I'm only going to be sexually attracted to certain ones. That's normal.
omnisexuals are attracted to all genders, but not regardless of gender. Gender can still be a factor in their attraction, unlike pansexuals who don't care about gender.
What the hell does that mean?
So omnisexual is the attraction to all genders, but with a preference. Based on how it was described in this video, it seems as though omnisexual takes into account gender identities as well. But do you see what I mean though? In that, I think the reason why...
It sounds so regular. Like, people do this. It's like, if you're gay, you're not attracted to all men, are you? No. If you're straight, you're not attracted to all men, all women, are you? No. Like, this is insane. Even the trans community, they're not attracted to all trans people. No. Oh my God.
So many different sexualities now is because we are now defining sexualities through social.
No, yeah, through group think, bro. You don't need to belong to a group. You belong to your own group, to your own. Everybody wants a group to validate them. It's all about status validation. Like, society, yeah, society is all about status and validation and what? Status, groupthink and validation, bro. It's insane, bro. You don't need to like, I probably belong to a lot of groups. I'm black, I'm partially sighted, so I could be the disabled group, this and that, blah blah blah. But me, I'm just me, bro.
For social terms, sexuality labels are no longer biological. They're defined by social factors. But the problem is there are so many social factors. So inevitably you are going to have an infinite number of sexualities. Because if people can make sexualities based on preferring intelligence, preferring to have a bond with someone before they sleep,
Nah, I'm disappointed
with them, being able to acknowledge the attractiveness.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just disappointed in society, bro. Like, you don't need a group, bro. Fuck the group. Do you?
Of other people without being sexually attracted to them, which are completely normal human behaviors. There is nothing abnormal about any of these. These are completely normal and very common human behaviors. It's just the only difference is people are now giving them labels. But the reason why I think this can be confusing is because when you say that these are sexualities as opposed to labels to describe different character traits, because really and truly, a lot of these are personality traits, right? Before we would have understood these as personality traits. You have a specific type of personality, and because of your personality, you prefer these types of people. But we would not have understood them as sexualities because we looked at sexuality through biological lens, which is, are you same-sex attracted, opposite-sex attracted, or attracted to both sexes? So we only had 3 sexualities. And the thing is, even then, when we only had straight, gay, and bi, people were still confused about which one they fit into. I remember young people really going through distress trying to figure out their sexuality and trying to...
I mean, for me, it was straightforward. I'm straight. There. Straightforward. But I do see, like, where the confusion came in. The confusion came in is, like, people want to belong, bro. That's all people want. People want a group to belong to. And that's what this is giving them.
Figure out what they are. I cannot imagine how young people are navigating figuring out who they are today.
Oh my God. You know what? Yeah, I think teachers need to ask these kids, like, I don't know. I don't think teachers should ask them. I think parents need to ask these kids, what do you think of, like, life? What do you think of yourself? Get a better understanding of how their self-esteem is, what group they wish to belong to, and all that.
And there's this many options, especially when there's so much overlap with all of the options as well. Like the first guy who was on, who said that he was both gay and sapiosexual. So two sexualities, so people can have multiple. I just think it's confusing personally. I don't think people do better with this much choice. I think it creates a lot of confusion because I don't think people want endless choice. I think people like to have the freedom to be able to express themselves, but I don't think when you give people a lot of choice, it makes them better off. I think it actually makes them more stressed and a lot more confused. And so I think the reason why we're seeing so many young people identifying within these LGBT labels is because a lot of these labels that have been created are now broad enough to cover straight people. Like, I could identify as sapiosexual because I fit the description. I could identify as demisexual because I fit the description. I apparently can also identify as asexual because I fit the description. Could identify as that because there are labels within that community that perfectly describe me, even though I would describe myself as just a regular, degular, schmegular straight woman, because there is really nothing particularly special about me. I know there are tons of people just like me. These are all very, very normal things and very, very common things. We've decided to give them names, I guess, but that doesn't change the fact that these things have been existing since forever and have always been a thing, but we just didn't attribute them to sexuality. Like I said, I have no issue with giving things a label, although I do think we're kind of taking it overboard with the creation of new labels these days. I do think it's getting out of hand. So personally, I think we'd be better off creating less labels. But, you know, I understand that this is something that adolescents just generally go through, and it's just kind of a part of the development process is to go through all these labels and be trying to figure out who you are, what your identity is. And so I completely understand why it's happening, especially with young people.
I think with less labels, you get to figure out who you are more, right? Because it's not somebody stamping something on you, yeah? It's you literally doing the groundwork and figuring out, okay, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, these are my core values, and this is where I'm going. That, you know, at some point you need to allow people to figure themselves out. You know what I'm saying?
Girls, because I think that young girls go through this a lot more, and I'm not surprised that a lot of the people who I see discussing this are young women, because we are also more prone to social contagion, right? We're more prone to doing things because we see other people doing things or because our friends.
That's the problem. That's the problem. This is why hookup culture has become a problem, because of social contagion. You know what? She taught me a word today. Social contagion. For guys and for women, though. Like, guys now, they're taking red pill to the extreme. I'm not gonna lie, you're taking it a little bit to the extreme. We don't need to become the people who we are arguing against, in a sense. And that's what I'm seeing that's happening more and more. And it's nothing, and it's just because we don't feel heard. And that's the thing, it's just because we don't feel heard. And yeah, and that's scary, because should I talk about it? I seen a headline talking about a woman that falsely accused someone of assault, I would say, and they got found out and then they got put in prison, right? And that, to me, you know, is good, but there's bad part, because I know society gets things very wrong before they get things right. So it's a tricky one, because they made the gender equality, gender stuff very political. So people are going to choose a side and they will stick to that side rather than choosing to fix the problem. Now I'm picking my political side that's going to help me. And that's the issue. That becomes a very bad situation for society as a whole.
Are doing it. This is something that's always been the case for young girls. Young girls have always been susceptible to social contagion. So I don't think that any of this is very surprising. And right now, this is what it's about. Before, when I was younger, it was. Now it's identity label. Before, when I was younger, it was.
Oh, the eating.
Now it's identity labels. In the next few years, it's going to be something different. It's just kind of the way we are.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here it's probably that, but I think as we get older, it became BBL, it became BBL central. And now that everybody's getting a BBL, I'm seeing rich people just get rid of that stuff. Just get that stuff out of their system. Because everybody's getting it. Everybody's looking the same. Everybody wants to look like Kylie Jenner. Like, everybody wants to look like Selena Gomez, Kim Kardashian, flipping Ariana Grande. I'm seeing a lot of people want to look like Ariana Grande. I'm not seeing individuality no more. Like, if you check your For You page on Instagram, every girl you see, they look the same. There's no difference. No difference in the style. Like, I was on Tinder during lockdown, right? Every swipe, every girl had that wink. Like, they were at this club, yeah, and they had the angel wink thing. Every girl had the same profile pic on Tinder, fam. Everyone. So it's one of those things, man. And if you really look at dating apps, all the girls, they're looking the same.
The issue with creating sexualities from social factors is, like I said, you'll have an infinite number of sexualities because there are an infinite number of social factors. So in the process, you are going to confuse a generation of young people because a lot of these overlap. Like I said, I fit perfectly into all of these. All of those sexualities that they describe me. So if I was a young person now trying to figure myself out and discover who I am, I would be very confused. I wouldn't know I would be like, oh, that's me. Oh, wait. No, that's me. Oh, wait, no, I would have no idea where I'm going or what's going on, to be entirely honest. At this point, people are creating sexualities out of pretty much anything. If you are a woman who only dates tall men, you can create a sexuality for that.
Yeah! They should. They really should. That would be so funny.
If you're a man who's not attracted to big women, you can create a sexuality for that. If you're a woman who likes rich guys, you can create a sexuality for that.
That is funny. That's a skit. I'm sorry, but she just thought of a funny skit. Even in stand-up. Like, bro, how would I write this stand-up joke? How would I write it? Now, I think about how I would write it before, because what she has done, she's created a topic like that could be hilarious, but how to deliver that is a different story. But that is funny.
See, isn't it? If people are creating sexualities from preferences and personality traits,
I'm just thinking about the joke right now. I'm smiling to myself. You know, I'm thinking about, like, yo, if I was on stage, I'm not a comedian, but I've been trying to get into watching comedians so that when I stream, like, I can easily tell jokes again. Because before, bro, I was watching comedy all the time. I was picking up on his traits. My favorite comedian all time, Trevor Noah, bro. Because the guy takes culture and picks it apart. Trevor Noah, Andrew Schultz, who else? Chris Rock, not Eddie Murphy, but Eddie Griffin is a good one. Yeah, those are my top comedians, bro. Top comedians. Trevor Noah, Kevin. I think for relationships, he's a really good one. You're probably in my top 5, but Trevor Noah, Eddie Griffin, Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, Chris Tucker. Yeah. For me, it paid basically. Oh, Andrew Schultz. Trevor Noah, Andrew Schultz are in my top. Those are the top ones. Trevor Noah, Andrew Schultz, top ones. Because they actually dissect culture. And if they go to a place, they actually dissect the society in which they're in. And they build a joke from it. And that, to me, is excellent.
Inevitably going to have an infinite number of sexuality labels. How young mind.
And this, oh no, how did I forget? Oh, the alphabet people. Oh my god, he's so funny. How could I forget him, bro? Yeah, he's at the top as well. Bro. I forgot his name, actually. I'll remember it.
That are still developing and trying to find themselves and discover who they are. are supposed to navigate that, I honestly have no idea. But that's just it for this video. I would be interested to know what your thoughts are. Do let me know in the comments what you think about the new sexuality labels and what your personal views are on this, or on some of the videos that we saw. Let me know if you fit into any of those sexualities that they described as well.
Yeah, let me know. Do you fit into any of these? And why you feel like you give me a whole story. Give me a whole backstory and everything. Nah, patience. It's amazing. That was a great video, great takes, great everything. 59k views. It deserves more, bro. But I feel like she put in... Let's look at the comments. I'm a woman attracted to men and I find intelligence very attractive, but I just call it having high standards. Hey man, she did her thing. She did her thing. People confuse preference with sexuality. Being attracted to intelligent people is not a sexuality, it is a preference. Someone likes redheads, hee hee. Someone likes tall people, rough people, gentle people. Some men like curvy women, some like slim women, etc., etc. We all have a preference. It's not that complicated. That's very true. Okay, here's one. I am black and bi, but I always knew that I was bi. I had a huge crush on a girl in 5th grade and just accepted reality. Although I am bi, I do not identify as LGBT. Rah! Okay. I feel like what I see from the LGBT community does not represent me or reflect any of my beliefs. Also, your sexuality should never be your personality. I even had people asking me if I was asexual because I never voiced my sexuality or liking for any other people. Johnny Depp is the only exception. Right. I also have an African background, so I always knew to keep quiet about my sexuality. I feel like being LGBT is the new trend and people want to be special. Ratting. I agree. Okay, people agree. I grew up during Tumblr days, and eating disorders and self-harm were the trend with young girls. Now with TikTok, it seems to be gender identity and sexuality. I wonder what makes us more prone to this stuff. Nah. Tumblr was bad for self-harm and everything. I don't think it's gone away, you know. I think it's just disguised itself as something else. I don't get it. I'm currently 16, and during the pandemic, when I was 14, I began to truly believe I was straight demisexual. I was even planning on coming out. Then my mind got back to earth. I honestly don't know how our society has become both hypersexual and childish. You know what? That's true. I can't lie. That's true. As a straight woman, I find a lot of people of either sex very attractive. Doesn't mean I want a sexual relationship with them. More often than not, I just want to paint them. I'm a artisexual or something like that. LOL. Haven't decided if I want to paint you yet or not. Decisions. Hey man, why can't we just say we like what we like and live our lives without labels? Because it's about belonging to a group. I think the 3 sexualities idea is mostly correct, but asexual should probably be added as a 4th one because there are people who are never sexually attracted to anyone, no matter what. Everything described in this video would fall into one of those 4 categories, and they are not sexual what's it called? They are not sexualities on their own, just preferences within a already existing sexuality. Okay. He's got kind of a point. As an asexual who has been identified this way before TikTok trends, I find it fascinating how an orientation became a trend. Not being sexually attracted to anyone is one thing, but understanding the subtext and social cues is an entirely different kettle of fish. I sometimes wonder whether the new sexualities will not make it harder for the real queer folks who just want to live a normal life and not be treated as some token online. Man, I'm gonna be real. I feel like what do I feel like? I forgot my thought. But yeah, it was interesting to read all these comments, bro. Shouts out to them.